All right, so I figured I'd pick a subject matter that has a definitive color that everybody thinks of, lemon yellow. So we're thinking this is going to be yellow. If you take yellow and just shade the entire thing yellow, that's called coloring. You're just coloring in a color. It's going to be flat. It's not going to look like a lemon. It's not going to have that color that you actually see. So when we really examine the lemon and look at the colors that are being represented, you can see from the way that my light is hitting this. So this is like if we just fill this with all one color. The same thing would happen if we did watercolors as well, although watercolors can tend to create these interesting shapes and impressions, but that's coloring. So we just filled in, the shape of the lemon. But let's really look at the lemon. On this side of the lemon here, where this is where the shadow is here, and so this is where the shaded portion of the lemon is, and those colors over there look to me to be a lot more orangey. We have our highlight right here, which is a much brighter yellow, and then very tinted yellow here on this side. And we have a blended shading going on here. The other colors that I'm seeing kind of towards the edges of the lemon, right here especially where the lemon was picked from the tree, is maybe a little bit of green, very light green. And then the shadows in this example, I would say the shadows would probably represent and really make this lemon yellow jump out at us if we make those shadows have some purple hues to them. Because purple and yellow, remember, are complementary colors, so they're going to create that drama as we shade it. So I'm going to introduce some orange on this side. And I'm going to introduce some browns as well by blending the colors together. But we'll add a little bit of orange on this side. Starting to create where that shadow is happening. I'm going to bring in some of the browns that I have from my set. And you're going to watch me just kind of build this color up with several colors, not just one. And it's going to still look like and seem like it's a bright yellow lemon because of how we're going to shade and create the highlights. It's often important too to take a look at your subject matter and see how that shading attenuates. This is much oranger on this side with brown tones as we go closer to the shadow on this side. So I'm just kind of building that color. And then I might have to bring in some much brighter yellows and overlap those over those darker shades to really keep the intensity of the lemon color. But I'm using multiple colors, not just one color, to create this lemon shape, okay? And I'm going to see if I can subtract a little bit or add white. Usually adding white to things on paper with the colored pencils doesn't really work, so you can see that that does not work. So it's better to see how much we can remove with, sometimes you can remove color with your colored pencils using your eraser. So I just want to make that more of a highlight right there so that I can bring the intensity of the color up a little bit more around the edges. And over here, remember I said I thought I saw a little bit of green. going to add a little bit of that green over here, just a hint of it. So just a hint of green really makes this look a little bit more realistic. And I'm also seeing a lot of shadow here too, where the lemon gets narrower here at the end, so we're going to seeing some of that shadow that we have right here. And then I have whoops, the edge of where the stem of the lemon was attached to the tree. And I'm trying to pick a color out here. I think I see a little bit of gold in there. And now let's see what happens when we start to blend. We can use a little bit of black, but I don't want too much black. I actually want to include violet. And if I mix a little bit of the violet in with the yellow, I'm going to get like a pretty intense shadow over here, and it's really going to bring out the color of the lemon as well. So I'm going to start off with a lot of purple in the shadow area and make it a little bit darker, closer to the lemon, and a little bit lighter as it moves away from the lemon. This is just your first layer. This is called like an undercolor. When you paint, if you see somebody who's a painter and they do a lot of painting, they'll usually block out areas that they're painting with an undercolor. And then that undercolor helps define the rest of the, where everything else is going to go in the painting. You kind of define with that undercolor, and then you go back and build up the rest of the color. So I've got that layer of purple under there, which is going to be really subtle when it's done. We're not going to really notice the purple as much once we're done with the shadow. So this is a little overlay of black that I've got. Whoops, went outside the lines over there. I didn't want to do that. And I'm really tracing right around the shape of the lemon to define its shape a little bit more. Give it a boundary. But that purple is doing a lot more than you think. And when we have that layer of purple underneath there, but it's peeking through the black, and it is intensifying the color of that lemon yellow. So now we have, there's our original. That certainly looks like a lemon. We have some highlights, we have some shadows. And if I continue to build this, because this is a lot darker, you get the idea of how much I'm blending those colors to create the result of an illusion of a lemon on a page. So I chose lemon, remember, because everybody thinks yellow, and you think, oh, I'll just color it in with yellow. But how much more realistic it looks once we start to really focus and pay attention to the colors that we're really seeing here. And if I wanted to take it a step further, I would have loved to have gotten this lemon texture. And I could have done that by using some different shading techniques. Kind of see those little pock marks in here. And perhaps it's just a matter of going in and doing several dots in areas and then building those colors up again to kind of give that illusion of that lemon texture. So all kinds of fun stuff you can do and experiment with. But the colors that I used, just to kind of reiterate, we used black, we used purple, we used yellow, we used some orange, we used some brown. And I actually even used a little bit of this goldenrod as well. Let me think. I didn't use any red, but I could experiment with using red, especially over here on this side next to the purple, really defining the side of that lemon. Let a little bit of that red come out. Remember, that's going to intensify that shadow and just kind of really sharpen that edge. So it's amazing what you can do with color.